Bob here from Bushcraft Outback. I came out to the building today because I'm putting together my fire kit, or the final touches on my fire kit, for the vacation that we're getting ready to take to the Great Smoky Mountains. And when I go on vacation, I like to prepare myself, and particularly my fire kit, have everything I need to get my fires going wherever I go. And in this kit is an arsenal of things that I like to take on my camper. Now, I have a much smaller kit that I carry in my backpacks, and but this has got just about everything that I would need, but has everything that I would need. And I'm constantly experimenting with new things that will hold a spark, that will take a spark, that'll make an ember. You see behind me, I've got a pump drill. I'm always experimenting with bow drills, flint and steel, cotton balls. I experiment with a lot. So we're going to get into this kit. And if you stay with me to the end of the video, I'll tell you what's my favorite fire starter is in this kit. So let's get into it. Okay, let's get into this. See what's in the kit. Now, I guess I would start with I've got tins, I've got fire starters, I've got all kinds of stuff in here, but I wanted to show you, my go-to for a lot of fires anymore have been cotton balls soaked in Vaseline, one spark from a ferro rod from two rocks struck together. It doesn't take much to light one of these, and without the petroleum jelly, they burn up in seconds. But with the petroleum jelly, if you separate the fibers, that petroleum jelly acts more like a candle, and these things will give you 3 or 4 minutes of burn time. And great arsenal to have. They're 100% cotton, jumbo size cotton balls. So I always take some dry ones for maybe some wood ash, some soaked in petroleum jelly, and they weigh nothing, doesn't take up much room. I can carry these even in a small backpack. So won't go camping without those. Then I've got a little pack of fat wood. And if you've seen some of my videos about fat wood, this particular fat wood, I harvested off of a tree, a pine tree, down at Trap Pond, and seen the pine that was uprooted, dead, got into some of the roots, and the smell, and it never really dissipates. I keep it in a plastic bag, but this stuff will keep for years. And you could take a knife and just shave some hair like fibers or some dust off of this and make a little pile. And again, it'll light with a ferro rod, it'll light with anything. And even when wet, I could drop this in a mud puddle and pick it up and shave those shavings off, and I would still be able to light it. So I never go anywhere without my fat wood. And I don't carry a lot. I have a bigger bag back here, but that's kind of my home stash. But I usually take a few pieces of fat wood with me. There has been times that I've went on these camping trips, and one in particular where I got at camp and then realized I didn't bring anything to light the fire. And I'm not sure how I did it, but we ended up getting a fire, kept a fire all weekend long. So since then, I bring lots of gear. And another thing I have made is some homemade fire starters. And I made these out of an egg crate, a little bit of dryer lint, and melted wax down in them. And they also will give you maybe 3 or 4 minutes of burn time and enough to get your tinder and things started. So I usually keep a few of those. Like making those. There's a lot of fun to make. And I've had people that ask me why I do this. I mean, it's more simple to use a lighter, isn't it? Well, sure it is. But for me, that's not that much fun. So another thing that I carry in here is a tin. And the reason why I carry a tin is because I'm not sure if I'm going to be making any char wood, char cloth, and there is videos out there on how to do that. I've got a few on my channel on how to make it, but I carry this tin with me. It's got a small hole in it. I can put my 100% cotton material in there, or I could put my punk wood in there. It's got a little bit of dead stuff in there. And then once this is charred in the fire until that hole stops smoking, I could take this out. It also will take a spark from a ferro rod, and it would take very little to ignite it. And I'd like to make some of this when I'm camping. We have a campfire going. I might sit around the campfire and just make some. And if I was going to make some, I carry a little tin that when I go camping, I don't know if you can tell, this is some wood that has what they call pith or spongy wood that's on the inside. And this hasn't been done yet. There is a few pieces in here that have been done that will take a spark. But I'll get the fire going, maybe cook it in that, and then stash it in here. And sometimes when I'm camping, I just like to cook up me some char cloth or some char wood, and it's just something that will catch a spark, get going, get your tinder bundle going, and get you out of a jam. And then I watched a video of a gentleman named David West. And in that video, he actually took the bark off the back of a poplar tree and scraped it and then rolled that into a ball, a very, very tight ball, and used a magnifying glass to beam into it to make an ember, which I also have a video on. But I was so excited when I saw that, I ran out to my truck and got my jute string. And I wondered if it works on poplar. It's very hair-like, just like jute string. Maybe it'll work on jute string. So I processed me some jute string up, rolled it into that tight ball in my hand, squeezed it, and then shined that beam into it. And guess what? It worked exactly the same. So jute string processed up is a very nice tinder bundle. If you go camping, everything in the woods is wet. You can't really find anything, which is a challenge sometimes. I carry some jute string. It's nice cordage, but also it can be processed up and turned into a tinder bundle. And I carry, of course, you've seen my flint and steel in my fire kit. This is so if you had any small thing, even my little cotton balls, I could throw a spark in that cotton ball with just my flint and steel. And you know, if you didn't have anything else, it's just nice to know that you've got some other tools. You could find some things in the woods. You could get your fire going. And I like the fact that I could go out in the woods with very minimal gear, find things, and make a fire. That's comforting for me. I mean, anybody can do it with a match and a lighter. So that's not much of a challenge. And I think somebody had asked me one time, why do you do that? And I said, well, why do people bow hunt? I mean, they go bow hunting, they could use a gun. They go bow hunting because the bow hunting is a little bit more of a challenge. But when you're on the campouts like we're going to go on this weekend, that's the time you want to practice this stuff. Because if you ever need it, you're going to have to know how to do it. So I like to take it along on these campouts. Sometimes it might impress your kids if they see you lighting a fire in an alternate way. I know we went on a camp out a while back, and the kids all had a chore of going out and getting a tinder bundle and making a fire, and they spent hours doing it. All the parents thanked me for bringing it along, but it was a challenge for them, and that's a challenge for me as well. So I carry other tools. I've got some tools that will make a spark, you know, even wet, that'll work. But every day I'm building new things in my arsenals, and I just keep going. I think I have a roll of that, or a piece of that jute string that I was telling you, that it's just jute string rolled into a very tight ball. When you put it in your hand, smash it up and get it really, really, really tight. It will create a small ball that you then can take the solar lens, magnifying glass, and drive a beam down in this, which gets this ball really hot. The object is not to set the ball on fire, it's to make it glow like an ember, which then you could turn into a fire by using it in the tinder bundle. So I got some of this process up. Sometimes I will take my jute string and just set around and cut up a bunch of, if I got nothing else to do and I want something to do around the fire, I might process up some jute string and turn it into some balls, which I got a few in there. I've got some extra flint. I've got an extra ferro rod. I've got a rock that I use when I do my friction fires. When I make a friction fire, it's easy to find one of these spindles, but sometimes it's a little difficult to find a bearing block to put on it. So I just carry mine along because this is what I'm comfortable with. But you can use a walnut for this. You can use another piece of wood. You can actually use fat wood to do it as well. But another ferro rod that's in there. I actually got a small kit. As I was telling you with the cotton ball, you can take that 100% jumbo size cotton ball. I have to back up a little. You can roll that out about 6 inches, and you can either use, I carry a little bit of rust. You can either take a little bit of rust, or you can take a little bit of ash from the fire and sprinkle it in that and roll it into a tight ball and use a bearing block and roll it. And after a few minutes, you can get a number that way as well. So sometimes I like to practice that. So I've got a number of modern day fire starters as well. I like to be prepared. But like I said before, if you stayed with me to the end of the video, I'll show you what my favorite fire starter is when I'm in a pinch, when I need my primary fire going right away. It's called matches. And I carry them in a fireproof kit. And everybody's like, oh, matches? Oh, no. I never go camping without matches. I did one time in a teepee, and I had a wood stove in there, kept me warm all night long. But I leave the fire until it died down. And once it died down, the next morning came and I wanted to restart the fire. And guess what I didn't have? Matches. I had to get out of my sleeping bag, get my flint and steel, strike a spark, get cold, get the fire started, and then get back in my sleeping bag. From that time on, I never go camping now without matches. And matches, unlike a lighter, sometimes you may need to take a match and stick back inside your wick of your lantern and get it going. And I just find that matches are a more reliable source, especially when you can keep them dry. And these are in a waterproof kit, and there's actually a waterproof kit inside this waterproof kit that's got more matches in it, that if this fell in the water, I'd still be fine. So yeah, when you're building your kit, I find it fun. I think you will too. Get out there and experiment with some things. And I'm going to keep adding to mine and keep experimenting. Ran some experiments yesterday on some fungus. And I'm always looking for new and inventive ways to get a fire going. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I will probably make a video along the way on this trip, or shoot some videos, or maybe some clips from our trip, and I'll download that so you all can follow along with our adventure. Maybe you may see me lighting some fires with this kit, as you saw all my gear that I've got here. So until the next video, make sure you keep God first and get out there and make your fire kit. It's a lot of fun.